Well, for the very latest from Ukraine, we can cross live and join ARISE Special Correspondent Karl Bostic, who joins us over the phone from the western Ukrainian city of Lviv. Karl, eight days into this war, Russian attacks are intensifying. How would you describe the mood on the ground at the moment?
That's right. Good afternoon. Well, you did report from the comments made by the Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky. In fact, now people in Ukraine and actually around the world look forward to his daily messages on social media. And besides, giving messages of defiance, he's also taunting the Russians, saying that the people you're sending here to fight us, they're not warriors. They're in fact confused children. He's referring to those soldiers, many of whom are young conscripts, that don't even understand why they're here, that they're even being sent here. So there's that mood of contempt and scorn against Russian soldiers. One interesting example of just how defiant they are, even though there are comments about Kherson being taken. I think, depending on you talk to U.S. analysts, say that it's a contested city, it's disputed. And what that means is that Russian troops are in the port city of Kherson, that's in the south. They in fact are occupying the city hall building, but the Ukrainian flag still flies over there. Apparently, maybe some agreement was broken with the mayor of Kherson, where the mayor basically says we now have a curfew in effect between 8 p.m. and 6 a.m. No one is allowed to be out on the streets except in groups of two, and you can't provoke the Russian soldiers. This is all in exchange for allowing the Ukrainian flag to fly over City Hall. At the same time, it allows people, all this relentless shelling, you've got people who have been killed, who have been injured, bodies lying on the street. This allows them time to pick up bodies and injured from the street. And it's the same situation in Mariupol, which is under siege-like conditions, and the mayor says we aren't even able to pick up bodies and wounded from the street. But in one nearby town in the east, which is really fascinating, video that's going on a social media channel, again, Russians occupied this small town called Konopak, and the Russians demanded that they surrender. And instead, the mayor marched out into the crowd. This is on social media saying, telling the crowd, the Russians have given us an ultimatum, either surrender or die. Which do you choose? And the people in the video saying, we choose to fight. And the Russians marched off. And now the battle continues. And then, of course, you have Kiev, where that 40-mile-long convoy is stalled for 3 days surrounded, and no one knows what its true intentions are, because they may have run out of fuel, but also the ground is getting soft, and a lot of the equipment and vehicles could get stuck in the mud.
Wow. Well, Karl, the first Ukrainian city has fallen, as you let us know. Can you let us know exactly how significant all of this could be at the moment?
Well, what it does is one of two things. Kherson's in the south. It's a port city. It allows them to move further west towards Odessa. So if they can get, first of all, if Kherson does fall under their control, and they can move to Odessa, they effectively control access to the Black Sea. And why is that important? Because Ukraine is a major exporter of, after Russia, the second biggest exporter of wheat to the rest of the world. In fact, 40% of its wheat exports go to the Middle East and to Africa. So, in other words, it would have no control of shipping if they lose Kherson and followed by Odessa. So there's that. And if you've got Mariupol in the east also under siege being taken, and also Kharkiv, which is under siege being taken, that will actually effectively cut off eastern Ukraine from the rest of the country. And that could even be the beginning of the partitioning of the country. And the problem is, going into negotiations, the Russians have a history. Once they enter a city and capture it, they don't let go of it. But, there's one thing you need to also keep in mind. There's a big difference between capturing a city and holding on to it. And what you have here, you're talking about this mood in Ukraine. There's an incredible spirit of defiance. The civilian militias are determined to fight them street to street. You're talking about a real guerrilla insurgency campaign that's now beginning to take shape.
Well, Karl, what more do we know about the resumption of peace talks later today?
Well, they keep saying that there's going to be a second round of talks, but they won't say when. They say later today. And why the uncertainty is because the Ukrainians, they're demanding a ceasefire before they'll agree to send a delegation for peace talks. And the Russians are saying we will commit to a ceasefire until you agree to these conditions as well. Well, that's why you're supposed to be having talks, so you can reconcile these differences. So that's where we are right now, because the Russians are still holding on to the conditions that the Ukrainians accept that the Crimea is now part of Russia, and at the same time they want to probably put conditions on to make up the new of the Ukrainian government. So it's a stalemate right now, and it's unclear if they'll even meet at all. If they do, it'll be on the Ukrainian-Russian border. But right now, Ukraine has refused to send a delegation.
ARISE Special Correspondent Karl Bostic, thank you so much for joining us on Newsday, and please do stay safe.